Welcome everybody to Roland Cowan Stadium as the Brisbane Spartans host the Townsville Heat in your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. I'm John Guarna. I'm joined by Dave Derwin and Dan George. Dave, should be a pretty good matchup this afternoon after a tough travel down to Brisbane for Townsville. Spartans missing Tom Jarvis, Adam Gibson, as well as Ryan Jeffries. It's going to be a tough matchup for the Spartans this afternoon.
Yeah, it will be. And again, we called them a little while ago, a couple weeks ago, and they struggled a little bit. They got the W against the Phoenix, but it wasn't super convincing. And then today's a little bit harder because Jarvis was obviously key in that game. No Gibbo hurts them. So I think last time we talked about that consistency of their group. They've had a bit of in and out all season long. So I think today one of the main things they need to focus on is getting through some consistent offense, getting looks for the right guys, and just a bit of edge, a bit of toughness and a bit of grit to their performance.
Yeah, we're coming up to the end of the season, so everyone's fighting for finals positioning. Spartans at the moment sit in 9th place, while Townsville sits at 4th on the ladder. Dan, what does Brisbane have to do to get I'll call it an upset win today?
Well, it would be an upset, there's no doubt about it. I think they've got to play super hard and play super structured, committed basketball, and that's the thing that I would say even if Gibbo and Jervis were here. But without those two, obviously, the need for everyone else to step up is increased. And the Townsville team is talented and they're successful and they're well coached and they've got all the pieces to be successful today and every other day during the season. Brisbane are obviously undermanned and they're going to have their work cut out for them. But I just want to see all the guys play really, really hard and really committed. And like we've discussed it before, the McDowell-White brothers are as talented as you'll get in this league from a young player point of view. So I want to see them come out and just dominate the ball. So in a nutshell, the Volkmans, the Mitch Phillips, these guys have to know where their bread's buttered and play really hard, and then Will's got to take over.
I think I'm pretty excited to see this Townsville group. They've got a couple of my favorite players in the QBL who, unfortunately, being down here in Brisbane, we don't get to see too often. We got Josh Wilcher at the point guard spot. He's one of the top guys. A lot of people don't talk about Josh, but he's putting up he's had a great season. He's won a Player of the Week award at least once. And a guy that we're familiar with because he moved up from Logan, Justin Baker. I mean, Justin Baker's having a quietly awesome season for Townsville. He's a difference maker in this competition.
Yeah, I think we saw Baker obviously the last couple of years, and he's been a really solid import in this league. And just, gives that good, steady presence, I think, which is always the thing you need in our comp, where sometimes when you need a bucket, who do you going to go to? And he's the kind of guy that can get the bucket. And obviously you've got you've got PC who's got a tremendous CV as well. So they've got a really good experienced group. And it'll be, and again, they're going well this year. So it's really good to see them because we don't see them a great deal down here.
Yeah, I'm excited to see them. And I mentioned it in the girls' game, but I love the yellow and blue for Townsville. I think it's a great color combo. Those jerseys are looking sharp. I got to talk to Rod, see if I could get one off one of the players' backs before we get out of here this afternoon.
Well, it's a bit different to the old sort of Heat days, so I don't know if it's a throwback sort of style or what.
It's good though. I like it. Going to be some interesting matchups on the court here today. Who's going to guard who will be very, very interesting. Mitch Philp is going to wear the captain's armband today. Reese is going to get set to tip off with Ben Volkman. Who gets the Baker matchup? Who's going to guard PC for the Spartans too? It's going to be some interesting matchups.
You would expect Will to guard PC, I think, and Glenn Scott maybe to guard Baker. But I mean, these Townsville bigs are just going to walk into the paint because there's not much rim protection for Brisbane today.
Volkman turns it over right away. Wilcher comes up with it, goes right to the rim and lays it in. Miscommunication there between Volkman and Will McDowell-White. PC Garden. Darryl McDowell-White knocks the ball out of bounds. Anderson gets the matchup with Will McDowell-White. Glenn Scott had a huge game when we were here last. Now Darryl McDowell-White has it with 6 seconds to go, leaves his feet, gets it to Volkman, who lays it in.
That's a great find from DJ White.
And Scott knocks the ball out of bounds. Good hands, too, by Volkman. Catching and finishing strong.
Well, that's where Volkman's got to do his work because I don't think they're going to be able to dump it into the post and expect him to go to work. But on the move, flashing into the paint when these other guys penetrate, that's where he'll get his opportunities today.
Inside for Reese against Volkman, double team. Couple of great pump fakes there. Wiltshire is going to step into a jump shot that's short. Baker with the offensive rebound and put back. That's going to be a tough matchup for Glenn Scott.
Yeah, rebounding is really going to be critical for the Spartans today.
Well, Baker averages 8 boards on the season. He should have 15 or 16 today.
Alley-oop for Volkman. He can't finish, but gets his own rebound. Volkman, long jumper is too strong. Scott gets called for a foul, battling for position inside with Baker as well. That's something to keep an eye on because coming off the bench for Spartans, you got to imagine Quigley will probably be one of the first guys off the bench as he has been all season. And again, Spartans just don't have anyone on the roster at the moment that matches up well with Baker.
We've
Or
got
I
to
should say
defend.
available today. They do have it on the roster.
We've got to defend by committee as well. And if they expect, Glenn Scott or Dan Quigley or, Andre or any of these other guys to come in and check in one-on-one, I think they're going to be in for a rude shock. But you've got to defend and have some team principles in place and have great team defense to lock these guys down from town. That's your only chance today if you're Brisbane. So I'm not sure if they do have that structure in place. We'll soon find out.
And Baker, though, gets called for the offensive foul, pushing off on Glenn Scott. So they each picked up one in the battle for the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit soft maybe, but
Yeah, it's not a little bit soft. It's just soft.
Yeah.
Like I'm not sure that was a foul at all.
yeah.
Sometimes you get penalised just for being the bigger, stronger guy. But
Darryl McDowell White with the three right in the face of Peter Crawford gives the Spartans their first lead of the afternoon, 5-4.
Well, it's a good hit from DJ.
Philp trying to get the timeout and didn't get it called.
It's a good hit from DJ because again I think he wants to drive more than shoot equally, and so it's a good if now PC can come out close a little bit harder, and then Darryl can get to the rim and create like he can.
Philp wanted that timeout call, didn't get it. So Townsville has possession. You like the trap out of the make too from Spartans. Reese finishes, gives Townsville the lead again.
Well, the Spartans on that last set down in their two or their zone, they really collapsed really hard. They got to be careful because I think a group like Townsville will continue to be disciplined in their spacing, and guys like PC and Co will just light them up if they collapse too hard.
6 on the shot clock. Philp fires a deep three and hits. And one of the things we said about Spartans is they seem to take quite a bit of time getting into the offense. That was a little bit smoother. Now Crawford on the other end misses his three-point attempt. And then Baker, not sure who they're calling on that one. I thought it might have been Baker over the back, but they're going to call it on Darryl McDowell White.
Darryl White Sr. does not like the call. You can probably see him on the score. I'm not sure what it was for either, but
I thought when he called it was over the back.
That's what I thought too.
But yeah, saw it differently.
Carroll nearly gets the steal, but he knocks it out of bounds. It goes off of Baker, so extra possession there for Spartans. Here's Darryl McDowell White looking inside for Glenn Scott. Out to William McDowell White. Good pump fake. Going to step back into a jump shot. That's good. That looks nice. Ain't that easy though, is it,
Well,
fellas?
don't underestimate. I was about to say how hard of a move and a shot that was from Will, and I hope he's as aggressive as that all night long.
Will gets the steal now, and he's off and running. Looking to get to the rack. Left-handed layup, no good. Volkman's tip is off as well. And it goes out of bounds off Ben Volkman.
Yeah, good job by Volkman on the glass. Again, being hungry, that's what he needs to do all game long. Give him that extra energy, try and get some cheap buckets.
Here's that trap from the Spartans.
And I think if I recall, in the third quarter against the Phoenixes, they applied the same, and that's actually the first sort of time they were a little bit energized defensively. So I like the early aggression from Spartans.
Baker got free on the baseline to lay it in, cuts the lead to 2. We're under 6 gone in the first quarter. under 6 left. No look to McDowell White in the corner. His 3 is short. Anderson comes down with it for Townsville. There's Baker again inside, flips it up and in. How do you stop that? I mean, do you just got to pick him up at half court?
Well, you got a good finish from Volkman too. Well, you got to check him. Like Glenn Scott's letting Baker walk to the post right now.
Yeah.
I know they're in a press, so it's a tough matchup to deny it straight away. But I mean, to answer your question, Johnny, if he can just catch it on that restricted circle line, and that's when you start playing defense, I mean, you're in trouble.
Baker got a couple offensive rebounds, got the putback to knot it at 12 now.
Too much, just way too much dribble from Mitch Phil too. I mean, he's got to get everybody involved, run them through offense.
Great look and a great finish there from Daryl McDowell White, plus the foul. Foul's going to go on Justin Baker. That's going to be his second personal foul. Second team foul for Townsville as well. Keegan Tudhope checking in for Townsville. Reese going to take a breather. Going to leave Baker out there for now with 2 fouls. Daryl McDowell White hits the free throw. 15-12 the lead here for Spartans. Under 5 left in the first quarter. Crawford had it tipped away by Mitch Philp. Philp going to go right to the rack and lay it in. Spartans junking it up a bit, forcing some turnovers here. Then Daryl McDowell White gets his hands on the pass. Checking in for the first time this afternoon, Josh Spears. And Peter Crawford going to get a breather. Coach Thompson going to the bench for Spartans. Dan Quigley going to check in for Ben Volkman. Good to see Josh Spears back in the QBL, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. A change schools, and so comes out firing.
Missed his first shot. Didn't hesitate as soon as he got on the court, did he?
Well, that's
going to call Daryl McDowell White for the push in the back. That's Daryl's second personal foul as well. Don't know about the call. I mean, I thought they might have called
interference
of the rim, but
I don't know who he pushed out of the way. I mean, he was hanging on the rim.
Wasn't an AFL kind of jump either, was it?
No.
When all he got was the rim.
Yeah.
He hurt us, I think. 17-12 though. Spartans are up here. About 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. Baker again absorbs the contact and finishes.
Yeah, listen, I like that. You know, obviously the Spartans don't have the biggest guys around today, but I still like Baker's post game and his touch around the rim. Just really, really fundamental. Nice little shimmies, fake left, go right. He's shown them a couple of things today, and it's just good for those young kids, obviously watching as well.
And Coach Anderson gets Baker a breather. Reese going to check back in for Baker.
I think equally for young kids watching, Dave, it's a lesson how not to guard the post too. Like if you know you're undermanned, especially like the Spartans are today, and you let someone catch it on the block, I mean, you can expect them to score and you all draw a foul or probably do both. I mean, they've got to deny him, bump him off his spot. The ball handlers on the perimeter guarding the ball, you have to have more ball pressure on them so it's not such an easy entry pass.
Dickinson with it. He's just checked in, as has Ugrinic. 3-pointers off by Philp.
Yeah, and then the other thing too, Thunder, that you mentioned is meeting him early in transition, right? Which
well,
is
that's what I'm talking about.
What Scott's got to do too.
Well, he can't just run to the restricted circle and seal someone up. It's game over if he does. He's too good to do that.
Good ball movement here from Townsville leads to a Reese Skyhook who missed. Spears in there, grabs an offensive rebound. Wiltshire going to fire a deep 3. That's an air ball. Philp steps back, is blocked there by Reese. Grinick with a good save.
That is what we call an ill-advised shot. He
Phil.
make amends by finding Quigley down low, though.
Quigley's pass, though, stolen there by Keegan Tudhope. Now Wilcher has it. He goes through the defense to lay it in with the left hand. And Coach Thompson takes the timeout, fellas. Pretty good timeout. Getting a little ugly out there for the Spartans at the moment. They were up by 6. They're now down 1.
Yeah, and a really good timeout, because the last couple of sets were pretty horrible. Just one-out basketball and turnovers. And then defensively to the other end, they're just not finding guys in their zone. They've got to match up. They've got to deny that high post. Townsville's doing a good job of spacing the ball, being patient. Again, when they're closing out too far. So it's just one dribble, make the extra pass. Townsville's having fun with them down the other end, to be honest.
Yeah, defensively, Townsville doing a better job as well, denying the paint and contesting shots.
Well, I think sometimes when you've got two players as talented, especially for our league, as Adam Gibson and Tom Jervis, it's easy maybe to not have the best systems in place because their talent can carry you through. So if you take those guys out and you don't have those systems in place, the guys that are here today have obviously got to take a step up, but they're struggling to, I think, offensively because it hasn't been just built into them, practice in, practice out, how to play the game. And Mitch Phillip, who's the point guard who's had success at a different program, comes in. He should be the one saying, fellas, we're undermanned. Let's run our stuff, disciplined, structured. We're going to get Will shots here. We're going to get DJ shots here. I'm going to come off this on ball like this. And he's the one coming down, taking 3 reverse dribbles into a blocked 3-point shot. So if that's the offense they're going to run, they're going to be able to hang around for a half, maybe 3/4 today, but Townsville's going to get a W.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised, like we were against the Phoenix, I'm surprised at the lack of structure that the Spartans play with. It's a bit of a concern, especially when those two Bullets players aren't here.
Townsville comes out in a bit of a 1-2-2, now dropping back to his zone. Different look from Townsville. Grinnick has it in the baseline, leaves his feet. Dickinson's corner 3 doesn't count because he stepped out of bounds.
Is it just me, Thunder, or do you think the sideline and the 3-ball here are a little close? Like, is it a smidge of a?
I think the court might be slightly small. Yeah, I agree with you.
There's not a whole lot of room there.
Good look inside. Quigley gets called for the foul, though. Bodying up Reese. That's the 15th foul on Spartans.
I think if someone's walking past you, like they're entitled to do, since there's one bathroom in this whole stadium, and the way to get there is right here on the footpath. So if someone's walking past, like there is no room to step back on the court. So it's unlike other stadiums where you do have a bit more space. So like you see more foot on the line calls here than you do in most other gyms.
Yeah.
Reese tried to bank one home.
I don't know if he tried or.
This is Rupert Sapwell throwbacks here, banking shots from everywhere, including the foul line.
Reese missed them both. Will McDowell-White with the good rebound.
I mean, this is where the Spartans have to run a set to get the ball moving from maybe one side to the other 2 or 3 times, a couple of reversals, and then Will's got to take 25 shots today, in my opinion. Him and DJ are the two guys that have to say, we're undermanned, but we're going to step up and be aggressive and get this done.
Dickinson's pass stolen there. It was Tudhope again. McCulley comes up with it, now over to Wilcher. Wilcher keeps his dribble alive, going to fire a 3, that's short. Nice rebound there from Spears, step back jumper, good. Spears is a good 6'7", isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
How about Peter Crawford waving the towel on that putback? A guy that's done everything, been to the Olympics, and he's the biggest cheerleader from the bench. That's so good to see. Speaks volumes of the culture that Townsville has in their program.
Yeah.
Nick Dickinson answers with a 3 to knot the game at 20.
And that's what I think, you want to see more of that from Dickinson too, because he's certainly capable, and especially in a day like today when they're a little undermanned, he can give you 12, 15 off the bench easy, just by making some simple shots. So.
And Wilcher just going to work, picking apart the defense, finishing plus the foul. He's got that left-handed look that always confuses you. Even though you know he's a lefty, it still throws you off, doesn't it?
Well, it was, and again, I think certainly give him credit, but equally, I think the Spartan defense so far has been a bit light on.
Good finish from Wilcher. You mentioned Dickinson. He's going to see some minutes tonight. He's averaging 2.5 points a game. He's a guy who's a pretty good shooter, good all-around player. He'll have plenty of opportunities.
Yeah.
Well, this is his chance to show that he belongs in the QBL. Because it's one thing to be on a roster and watch games. It's another thing to get on the court and be effective. Fellas, it'd be good to talk to Coach Johnson and some of these other coaches around the league and just ask about their scouting and their analysis during the week. I wonder how much conversation the Spartans have had about how to guard Josh Wiltshire, for example, or how much film they've watched. And it's pretty hard at this level when you train twice a week to get those sessions in, but it's interesting to know from the top teams in the league down to the bottom what teams do to prepare and what they do to scout.
Well, I tell you what, Thunder.
I reckon Rod's watched some tape.
I tell you what, Thunder. It's certainly better than maybe in your Siebel days they had a bit more access. But now, instead of just getting a DVD and sharing it amongst your coaching fraternity in Southeast Queensland, every game's on Huddle.
Yeah.
And they can access it and cut it
That's
up
right.
like a piece of cake.
Yeah.
So there's really no excuses. I mean, these days, if you're running a program, you're probably having a half-hour coaching, a half-hour film session, an hour and a half on the floor type session, you know.
And Coach Thompson wouldn't be happy about that one. A 5-second violation inbound and on the baseline. I don't know if you guys have accessed it. I know that we have the access, and I watch plenty of stuff on Huddle each week. It's a pretty awesome tool.
Yeah, I haven't used it a great deal, but it looks really good. And I've heard speaking to a lot of coaches and players around the league, it's certainly handy.
I mean, you can cut up, for instance, talk about Josh Wiltshire. You can cut up a few minutes of any game really, and just say Josh Wiltshire highlights, or this is how we're guarding, defensive principles, all those kind of things.
I think that's the advancements in the league. I mean, no one expects to have video coordinators and have huge film sessions, but to get 4 or 5 possessions so the guys can see it before you play is important. It makes a lot of difference as a player.
Well, there's definitely advantages to it. Best credit to Best Ball Queensland. They brought Huddle on board, and they've given every association access to it, and everyone can. Whether they take advantage of it or not is up to them.
This on-ball is an interesting one.
McCulley picks up the foul. They had a foul to give. That's the 4th on Townsville.
Well, I mean, I like that from McCulley. I like his attitude and energy straight off the bench, straight into him. Probably him and Mitch have had a few battles over the years, no doubt. And I certainly like the foul.
Will McDowell-White, deep 3, way off. Reese comes up with it. His shot won't count. And at the end of the first quarter, fellas, it's a 5-point lead for Townsville over Brisbane. Quick thoughts before we take a break, Dave?
Well, I think Spartans have had a really, really dominant first quarter, to be honest. The scoreboard hasn't really reflected it, but I think they've thoroughly outplayed them on both ends.
Dan, your thoughts quickly?
We'll talk about it when we come back.
All right.
There's a lot to break down, but it's going to be a good match, but Townsville just have too much firepower. But Spartans are playing hard, which is at least the positive which we wanted in pregame.
Yeah, for sure. So there is the quarter-time break. It's a 5-point lead for Townsville over Brisbane here on your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. Back with you here at Roland Cowan Stadium. 5-point lead for the Townsville Heat over the Brisbane Spartans. 25-20 at the quarter-time break. Dave, I know you're taking a look at the stats. What's jumping out at you?
Well, I've only just jumped in, but I mean, the first thing for the Spartans is the 7 turnovers, and obviously you don't want to be on pace for a 28 turnover game. So they have to clean that up immediately, and I think they've done a better job in that last sort of 5 minutes as they sort of settled a little bit. So that was positive from them. Townsville switched into a zone, a press and a zone in that last few minutes as well. And so if they're going to try and trap the ball on one wing, then the Spartan guys have got to recognise that, have some release around the high post, make sure the skip's always on as well. So it depends on who they're going to put in those positions now to punish them. Like putting a Dickinson in the weak side corner, or a Will White who can open them up with the 3 points. So I think Spartans have adjusted a little bit better offensively in that last few minutes, and we'll see how they start the second.
Coach Rod Anderson sticking with a few of the guys off the bench. Alley-oop pass to Anderson. He missed it, but he was fouled. It's a good look there for Anderson.
I know Ben Volkman watches the film back. I think his life just flashed before his eyes momentarily. That was a nice play. I think you can tell a lot of the good teams by the ATOs, the after timeout possessions or after a quarter time possession, guys that can come run out and execute something like Townsville just did. There's no coincidence. Those are usually the teams that are, you know, top 3, top 4 at the end of the season. Nice play from Townsville.
And those are the kind of plays also that get you back into the game and get the energy levels up.
Yeah.
Sure do.
I do love how Stevens in Boston, they talk him up like he's a god because he does his job and runs after timeout sets, right?
He's a god. What are you talking about?
No, I know.
I'm joking. I know what you mean.
Yeah, like the Americans make such a big deal out of it. You mean like running offense?
Missed there by Scotts, tipped out by Volkman. Now Philp out to Will McDowell-White. Three-pointer is up and too strong. Spears comes down with the defensive rebound. PC kicks it up ahead to McCauley. Now Peter Crawford in the corner for three is off. Spears chases down the offensive rebound.
Yeah, another one for Spears. I think that's 3 offensive rebounds for him. He's done a really good job since coming in.
And McCauley passed it to his coach. Coach isn't on the court. That's a turnover.
And I like, too, from Josh that he's not just sitting on the three-point line. Like, he's running the offense, he's moving, he's crashing the boards, boxing out down this other end as well. So that's always good to see.
Baker comes back into the game. He's on those 2 personal fouls, so it's something to keep an eye on.
Can we just give some recognition to DJ White's hair today?
Sure can. Go for it, Dan.
Oh, as a person in my position, I'm incredibly jealous of the quantity of hair that he's got.
Jump shot is off from Darrell. Justin Baker comes down with it for the Ville. Crawford inside. Anderson spins baseline, shoots over the defense and finishes.
Yeah, he was lining that up the whole way down. Obviously got a bit of size on DJ and then just posted him up and was, really patient. Great move. Oh, nice little in and out.
Yeah, really nice.
Scott
from Scott. Yeah, that's fine. He like that last possession for Townsville was a tough one to guard if you're Brisbane because it came after almost an air ball. So they're off and running,
yeah.
the Townsville squad. But in a position like this, let's see if like a Glenn Scott or a Will White or whoever's guarding these guys that run to the block, like see how Baker's just walking into the post. They're not really fronting him. They're not like making it that hard. You've got to really make it hard for him to get position. He just walks into it again. Volkman sags back on that one.
Well,
but if they don't adjust and start guarding him early, these Townsville players in the post are going to have 30 points each night, and Brisbane aren't going to get a win.
Scott misses. Offensive rebound. Putback is good, plus the foul. I think that gave that one to Baker. That's going to be Baker's 3rd personal. McCauley was trying to get the call against him, but it didn't go against him. Now Baker's going to have a seat on the bench with 3.
That's a huge possession. I mean, I just spoke about Baker in the post and how they need to try and guard him. Well, the best way to guard him, it turns out, is just crash the O-boards and let him sit down for the rest of the half.
And Scott finished the 3-point play. Lead cut to 5 now, 28-23 for Townsville. Crawford, great no-look pass inside to Reese.
Well, I think he was the only person in the key then. Pretty simple, right down the pipes for Reese.
That's a communication thing. If you're going to trap in the corner, you need to know that the help is there.
Well, and you're absolutely on point. I mean, you don't see a great deal of talk. No one's pointing. The energy from the Spartans has gone out a little bit now.
Volkman can't get the shot to fall. Anderson gets it from Crawford, has to settle things down. McCauley has it, goes inside to Reese. Left-handed hook shot is good. It's an interesting one. He opens out, he squares up, but then goes out with the left. Good call on defense to the switch. Volkman stepping into a long jump shot. It's too strong. McCauley comes down with it. Wiltshire's jumper rolls in and out. Tipped by Will McDowell-White, but Anderson comes up with it.
Yeah, that's just effort, absolute effort then, or lack of from the Spartans. Another offensive rebound.
Crawford over to Reese. Long jumper is good from Matt Reese.
They've given up 8 offensive rebounds in the first 14 minutes.
11 points the lead now for Townsville with 6 minutes to go in the first half. Volkman gets it to Will McDowell-White. He can't finish, but he's fouled. Will McDowell-White will go to the line for a couple of free throw attempts. On the season, Will shooting at a 75% clip from the free throw line.
Well, hopefully that's the kind of activity that will get him a bit more engaged. Only with 1 of 5 so far, and he's been a bit quiet. 3 assists. He's moving the ball, but again, as Dan alluded to early on the call, I think he needs to be more dominant.
Second one is good.
And not just dominant, but take on that responsibility and accountability for his team's success.
Well, I don't think it means he's got I think I said 20 shots earlier. That's probably about right, but he doesn't have to shoot it every time.
No, not at all.
But guys like Benny Volkman and Quigley and even Mitch Phillip to a point, I mean, their best strength, like we just saw then, is almost a great rebound from DJ too. But
up ahead to Anderson. Layup is good.
Like their best strength is, letting Will get in the paint, drop it off, and they catch and finish or catch and shoot open, not creating their own stuff. So when I say Will's got to be aggressive, he's got to be aggressive for himself, definitely, but also just creating for everyone else because they're not running a lot of off. Quigley gets the M1.
Good finish there from Quigley. That was a tough shot.
Yeah, I was just finishing off saying their system doesn't play to getting guys lots of open looks. They've got to create them themselves. And that's where Will's got to step up and dominate today, I think, and DJ as well. Those two are the main guys that have to drive the Brisbane's offense.
I'm still surprised that they don't have the ball in Will's hands on every possession. He should be running the offense. High pick and roll. You got shooters on the floor. Philp is a great catch and shoot guy. He's not someone who's really creating the shot for himself. I run high pick and roll with Will White all day. You got Darryl in one corner, Mitch in the other. I think that's where they'd be most effective.
Well, I think you've got to at least make Townsville play some defense. So, I mean, we'll see what I can come up with here.
Jump shot's no good. Quigley's fighting for it.
Yeah, Quigley's
he's working hard down there.
He's done a good job since he's come in.
Really good. That's all you want from him. He's come in, be active defensive, active offense. He's doing what you want. I mean, just to finish that, we've got a break here. When you want Townsville to play defense and not just come down set, guarding an on-ball with so I'd almost, get Will on the left side where that Zups logo is and get him to hand it off or enter it, and then just cut through the paint, come and catch it on the opposite wing. Well, that's happening. Maybe they can go and set a cross pick for Quigley who can sprint into an on-ball, so Townsville having to move and guard. And then you get someone like Will, the defense is not set, coming off a moving on-ball as they find a good look there for Phillip. Yeah. Stuff like that, just to get people involved is what I'd be trying to run a really healthy dose of. And if it's Will or DJ, switch them out. But I think those guys have to try and get their hands on the ball. Because 38 points is not a lot, but it seems like it's too much because Brisbane aren't going to score 100.
Yeah. And again, a good job of good execution the last time from the Spartans. And all it took again was a little bit more of a cut with purpose off that high action.
Anderson's top of the key 3 is good. Jamel Anderson's has 8. Townsville's up 12, 41-29. We've got 4 minutes to go here in the first half. Phil flips it up and in. Peter Crawford took one a bit low there. Let's hope he's all right. He got a shot right where it hurts.
All I can say is you can't take that part of your body for granted. You got to look after them, protect them. That's a testicular cancer joke for anyone listening who didn't get it, which no one would have. So just bringing some humor to the broadcast, fellas.
Yeah,
don't mind me.
Crawford tried to take the charge. He was a little too deep there. Phil finished through the contact, cuts the lead to 10. He's got to catch his breath, doesn't he? Those are the worst ones.
Yeah, give the guy a minute. Better job from Philp too. I mean, not just settling for the 3-3-3. Good drive, beat Wiltshire, and finished over the help.
Jared Figg going to check in for Crawford. Crawford going to get an opportunity to recompose himself. Philp can't finish the three-point play, though. Anderson, no look to Wiltshire. Wing three is up. That's off. Quigley with the defensive rebound. Nearly loses it, but recovers. Quigley, layup is
great
good.
finish. Great rebound and a great finish.
Spartans love that transition offense, don't they?
Well, especially with William, with the ball in his hands, obviously makes really good decisions.
And Wiltshire finishes strong just inside the paint.
And that's what they need, Johnny. They need to get some more stops so they can actually get some transition.
Darryl McDowell-White fading away, no good. There goes Wiltshire off again. Finds Figg in the corner, who loses the ball. Scott comes up with the steal. Phillips' pass, though, is stolen. $15 to go on the shot clock. 10-point lead for Townsville. Good pump fake from Figg. Tudhope's baseline jumper way off, and William McDowell-White comes up with it. Kicks ahead for Philp, over to Quigley.
Yeah.
One step too many for Quigley. That's a turnover. Coach Anderson going to take a timeout, fellas. We'll take one as well. 2:27 to go in the first half. It's a 43-33 lead for the Townsville Heat over the Brisbane Spartans in your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. Back with you here at Roland Cowan Stadium. 2:27 to go in the first half. It's a 43-33 lead for the Townsville Heat over the Brisbane Spartans. Taking a look at some of the Heat's statistics. They got two players in double figures. Matt Reese has 10 points. Justin Baker also with 10. You got Wiltshire on 9. He's 0-4 from 3, but he's 4 or 5 from two-point land, and he's a perfect 1 of 1 from the free throw line. Townsville, though, look at the percentages. 57% from the field. They've only had the 1-3, but they've gotten to the line 7 times as well, so pretty efficient job from Townsville.
Yeah, not just efficient, but really, really well spread, balanced scoring as well. All of the starters contributing.
Tudhope gets called for the offensive foul. You see that happen multiple times throughout the game, don't you? It's unfortunate. It was just right in front of the ref. You see the arm extended out.
Yeah.
You almost give him, the referee, no option but to call it at that spot. Darryl McDowell-White in the corner. His 3 is short. Good board there from Murray. Now Wiltshire ahead to Figg. Figg got tripped up a little bit there and turns it over. Scott at the elbow. Hands off for Philp. Back out to Scott. Long 2 is good from Glenn Scott. Anderson in the paint. Kicks it out. Reset for Townsville. Wiltshire wants to screen. Looking inside. There's Anderson inside. Kicks it out. Murray's three is short. Anderson tips it but can't get it to fall. There's Will McDowell-White getting to the rim. Misses the layup though. It doesn't fall. Philp with the steal though. Daryl McDowell-White hits the three right in front of his own bench. Under a minute now to go in the half. It's a 5-point lead for Townsville. Anderson's pass is nearly stolen. It goes out of bounds off of Townsville though.
Spartans done a good job, to borrow your phrase earlier, Johnny, junk it up, and they're back in the ball game. Got a few stops, better energy defensively, and the main thing is they got the ball in transition and made good decisions.
Ethan Betts checks in, as does Reese for Townsville. Got 45 seconds to go in the first half. Will McDowell-White, teardrop is good.
Super move from Will. I think Townsville, if they're going to try and mix up their D, I mean, I know you've got to try different things, but I'd be getting out of that zone quick. The Spartans having no trouble at all.
Yeah, it's surprising why they've sat in it a bit longer than what you'd expect.
10 seconds to go in the half. Daryl McDowell-White nearly has it stolen. Somehow he recovers it. There's 2 on the shot clock. Glenn Scott's got to get it off. It rolls in and out. Spartans really would have liked that one to go down. It would have tied the game at 43, but the miss leaves it at 43-40. Fellas, pretty interesting first half. I feel like I say this almost every week, but it felt like Townsville should be up by 10-15. Hey, we go into the main break, they're only up 3.
Yeah, if you were watching the game, I agree. That's what you'd think. So, you know, Spartans did a good job of hanging in there. Equally, you know, Townsville maybe did a bit too much scoreboard watching and thinking, you know, we're up 12, there's no Jarvis, no Gibbo, we'll be right, you know.
Yeah, so we'll take a bit of a break. We'll come back with about 2-3 minutes to go before the start of the half, and we'll go through the statistics for you. But at the main break, it's a 3-point lead for the Townsville Heat over the Brisbane Spartans, 43-40, your QBL Game of the Week presented to you by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia.
you still see my logo? If my head.
We can still see.
If you give me a shirt, I'll wear it for you.
Welcome back to Roland Cowan Stadium. John Guarna here with Dave Derwin and Dan George. It's halftime. It's 43-40 the lead for Townsville over Brisbane. Dave, I know you've been looking at the statistics. What do you see?
Well, I think the simple thing is the Spartans are back in the game because of the second quarter and turnovers. So the Townsville boys threw 13 in the first half, and I'm not sure what the split was between Q1 and Q2, but they certainly looked like there was a lot more in that second quarter, and that just has opened up the game a little bit to give them a sniff back again, which is good for them. I mean, that's a good, as you say, if DJ hits a three at halftime, it's 43-all, and they're feeling pretty good about themselves. So I think if I'm Coach Anderson, you want to come back pretty hard at the start this next 3 minutes, really come out. You know, he might, again, press, trap, etc. Try and put them to the sword, try and break their spirit a little bit, knowing that they're a bit under strength. And to be honest, that's what they should be doing if they want to be legit contenders this year.
Yeah, well, Townsville definitely consider themselves one of the top contenders in this competition. They looked the goods there for quite a while in the first half. I'd like to see them put Brisbane to the sword. Dan, what's going to happen here in the second half? What's your call?
Well, I think it depends a little bit on the adjustments that Dave just spoke about. I reckon you're spot on with everything that you just put forward. And I think Townsville were in a really good rhythm, playing really well, because they had obviously come out and said there's no Gibbos, no Jervis. We're going to feed Baker in the post and run stuff for him, and it's working well. He was dominating. He goes to the bench and foul trouble, and it all fell apart.
Yeah.
They didn't really adjust and know what to run after that. Whereas before that, they were really structured, knew what they were running, really executed their offense really nicely, which led to the turnovers, which led to Brisbane running, which just made this a really competitive game. So I guess a couple of things. They just need to continue to know, both teams, continue to know what we're going to run and who we're trying to run it for and how we're going to get it. And let's execute and be really structured and make each other play defense for 16, 17 seconds. And obviously Baker's got to be smart and keep himself out of foul trouble now as well.
Yeah, 13 turnovers in that first half for Townsville led to 19 points for Spartans. So they want to take care of the pill a bit better here in the second half.
And they need to clean up the rebounding too. Nice move from Volkman. Little step through on the left. I like it.
One other thing, nice move from Volkman. Volkman, you watch this back, nice move from Volkman. I know he takes what we say personally. Nice move, Volkman, but Baker wasn't playing defense at all. Like, he's got three fouls, so go at him.
Yeah,
because he is not going to play any defense at all. He can't.
No. And just, sorry, Johnny, just to clean up some of the half-time. So, again, Spartans were out-rebounded -12. So, you know, that's something that Townsville's done a good job of, and Spartans got to clean it up. And they did give away 9 offensive rebounds, which I know they're a bit small, but again, I haven't seen too many rebounding fouls from the referee, so they need to compete a bit harder.
See, this is confuses me. Spartans have come out running Glenn Scott sprinting into an on-ball. Nice, they're running something. They got the switch. Darrell's shaping up, Rees, and Volkman comes and sets a second on-ball. Give him room and let him operate against that mismatch.
William McDowell-White misses, gets his own rebound though. Scott's going to fire the wing three. That's short. Darrell should have waved off that second.
He should have. Yeah, he definitely should have.
Here's Anderson, good pump fake. Now over to Reese in the corner. Jump shot is good from Matt Reese.
Yeah, got a nice touch, doesn't he?
He does, and good execution from Townsville. They got that little cross screen into that back pick action, and that's been really working well for them so far tonight.
Jump ball called there. Possession arrow favors Townsville.
But equally, it's nothing outrageous with the offense. So Spartans, again, they've been running a few times. They've got to recognize it now. You can almost switch everything because they have to tonight with their size. So they've just got to take it away instead of Anderson getting where he wants. Gives them a little pump fake. DJ flies by. They just get a simple jump shot for Reese.
Darrell McDowell-White picked up his third personal there, reaching in on Peter Crawford. So Dickinson's going to check back in for Spartans. Weak side action. Reese finishes with the left hand. That's nice play there from Townsville.
And Baker sealing up in the post just takes so much attention now. Reese can step in virtually unguarded and get a nice easy layup.
Phil nearly loses it. He's got 5 on the shot clock. Tries to split the D. They call him for the carry.
Probably the right call.
Trying to split the defense there, Phil. Just carried it a little bit.
Only just, but probably the right call.
You could probably call. You could probably call carry on every single play if you really wanted to. I mean, let's be honest.
Well, he did try and get a fair way and split the pick and roll and.
It's a 6-2 lead in the third quarter here for Townsville. They're up 49-42. Peter Crawford on the wing will fire a three that rolls in and out. William McDowell White comes down with it for Brisbane. Nice skip pass to Philp. Volkman along the baseline. Reverse layup is good.
He kind of made it hard for himself because he should have just spun the other way and he had a simple little drop step. But good bucket. And again, that's what they need more of. He's got to have hard rim runs, especially with, Will in transition with the ball. He'll make a good decision.
Baker inside's blocked, but I think Scott got him first. That one is going to go on Glenn Scott. So Baker's going to go to line for a couple free throws.
That's 3 on Scott now too.
Yeah, it's going to be Baker's first 2 free throw attempts of the night. Yeah, we first saw Baker in Gladstone.
Yep.
Playing with Derek Rucker and Ray Willis, carried them to the semifinals a couple years back. Then Baker made the move down to Logan with Rucker last season. And now he's back up. Now he's up in Townsville. He's a phenomenal player at the QBL level.
I just think he does a lot of the little things really well too. Good communication, his energy and effort's great. Good D from Dickinson to get a hand on the ball.
Crawford gets it back though in the corner. Three-pointer is good.
But you got to stay in the play. Just those little things is going to hurt him.
It's a 10-point lead now for Townsville. Scott reverse layup is good, plus the foul.
Yeah, great pass.
That was just, you couldn't even see the window that it got through. Somehow it made it through, and Scott was able to finish with the acrobatic layup. Volkman's going to get a breather. Quigley going to check in. Scott hits the free throw. Dan Quigley picks up the foul. (54-47) the lead here. 6:16 to go in the third quarter. Anderson inbounds for Wilcher. Anderson on the wing, three-pointer is short. Baker offensive rebound, blocked from behind by Scott. Then Quigley leaking out, layup attempt is good.
Some of the other role players have done a good job today. So again, Quigley's done a good job. Volkman's gave him good minutes as well today. So it's a good job from some of the other role players.
Quigley stepping into the jump shot. That's good as well. Quigley's got it going on. He's got 9. Then Philp with the steal. Dumps it off for William McDowell White. Misses the dunk. Wilcher swatted again by Scott. And then Baker loses the ball out of bounds.
Not in Scott's house. Couple big blocks last couple minutes.
The Sultan of SWAT, Glenn Scott. Timeout taken on the floor, fellas. Let's keep it here. 54-51 the lead. And again, that kind of flow of the game, it still feels like Townsville should be way in front. Spartans just keep having these short bursts of energy to get themselves back in it, but they just haven't been able to maintain a consistent level of play.
Yeah, they do. And well, I mean, sitting here as a analyst, you're trying to come up with something intelligent to say about what's leading to those short bursts, but like I'm not sure that there's a whole lot other than maybe just some poor repossessions from Townsville and maybe some quick shots or some turnovers, and Brisbane just doing a great job, to their credit, at just scrapping it up, meaning they're just junking to getting the lanes. You know, Will almost put PC on his poster for a second, which would have been awesome, obviously, to see, but they're just finding these small ways to make a difference. It's not like they're going to anything consistently. It's a lot of little things which are coming together to keep them in the game. And I mean, Townsville, you get the feeling are giving the best that they've got at the moment, but it's just not quite enough to shake off this Brisbane team, who are just finding a way somehow to stay in it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting too, because often you know, you get in games when the other teams hang around and they probably shouldn't be, and then you start worrying too much about that instead of worrying what Townsville needs to do. And so I think that was a really good time out for them just to recalibrate what's going on, what are we getting after, because Townsville's offensively they're executing pretty well, I think. They've already scored 11 points this quarter, so offensively it's fine. I think actually just some of the defensive lapses is what's hurt them.
Yeah, a couple more turnovers also for Townsville. Just a couple silly ones leading directly to a few more Brisbane buckets as well. I'm sure Coach Anderson will tell the fellas to take care of the pill a little bit better, boys.
Yeah.
And I think if Gibbo and Jervis were here, you'd probably say, like, we're going to focus on them, but let's not let Quigley, Scott gets the roll on the three. Let's not let these other guys come in and beat us. And it should be the same thing even without those two Bullets players here. I mean, Dan Quigley is playing fantastically well, but he shouldn't get the better of the matchup with his Townsville counterpart. So you've got to put some pressure on individuals to step up and contain their man as well.
Crawford comes out far and he hits a three. 57-54, Will McDowell-White, bit of contact, he's fouled. Gonna give that one to Peter Crawford, that's his second personal. 2 team fouls for Townsville, 3 for Spartans.
Yeah,
4:38 to go in the third.
The 15 turnovers is really hurting Townsville so far.
Philp comes off the screen, skips it to Dickinson. Now Scott with 12 on the shot clock. He'll fire a wing three. That's good, Glenn Scott.
How good has Glenn Scott been? With Jervis against the Phoenix the last game we called, he was the perfect cameo, but even without those guys tonight, he has been a stud.
Yeah, he's been really good.
Does everything.
Bit like James Kwan, man. He likes the NBN coverage, I think, because Scotty was big last fortnight.
Well, the big primetime TV games do get guys up.
Scott, let's see if he can hit his third in a row here. There's 6 on the shot clock. Philp finds Quigley, throws up the floater, it's off. Wiltshire comes down with the defensive rebound.
Yeah, I'd like to see Townsville get into that man and just really try and take over the game defensively.
I would too. Yeah, that's exactly what I would be doing.
Wiltshire probing, kicks it out. Reese, top of the key jumper, that's off. Will McDowell-White with the rebound. And then he's fouled by Wiltshire at about half court. That's Wiltshire's first personal. It's the 3rd team foul on Townsville with 3:30 to go.
And it's hard to offensive rebound when you don't know when the shot's going up. So
yeah.
I don't know if Townsville is shooting within their usual system or not, but they're struggling to get a lot of second chance opportunities too. And so you see on multiple occasions, Will McDowell-White grab a defensive board and just run. And that's where the Spartans can compete.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're on demand, but if they can get it in transition.
Volkman with the two-handed slam off the dime from Philp.
If they can get it in transition or broken plays like that, they look pretty good, and that's how they're staying in the game. So Townsville have to slow it down, grind it down, and then crash the glass too and try and take away some of that transition offense that the Spartans have been so successful at.
Yeah, good call.
Reese and Volkman were battling for a position inside.
Well, I don't know what Reese is talking about. It was a bit of a dirty little bow down low. Good call.
Volkman has been known to get under people's skin, hasn't he?
That's his job. I like it. But again, Reese is a good player. They don't need that sort of rubbish. That's the sort of stuff that again just keeps playing here. Give the Spartans another confidence boost. He goes to the bench, gives an opportunity for Baker to maybe pick up his 4th now.
Philp fires a 3. It rattles home. Spartans take the lead, 62-60.
I think that's probably the first time of the afternoon that they have had the lead.
Crawford goes inside to Anderson. Anderson has to reset. Steps back into the long two. It's an air ball. Baker tips it around. Spears comes down with it. Now Crawford open for three. That rattles home. Thought there might have been a timeout taken. McCulley's going to check in for Wilcher.
Geez, big hit from PC, and they needed it because they look a little shaky right now. They just, offensively, I think they're looking a bit so-so. I think also, too, from Townsville, like to see Wilcher, take a little bit more control offensively.
I think that's why Coach Anderson going to give him a little bit of a breather, let him reset and settle up. I think Townsville, where they were successful in the first half, was getting the ball inside. They've kind of gone away from that and settling for the jump shot. That's playing right into the hands of the Spartans.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't mind either of those strategies are fine. I think, as I said though, but I mean, if PC misses those last couple, you know, then you're down 6 and it's a different story.
Phil missed that one. Baker came down with the defensive rebound.
And if I'm Townsville, I'll run something here to try and get PC open again.
Back door to Spears. Little teardrop is short. Fights for his own rebound and lost it out of bounds off the Spartans.
Yeah, another good job of Spears crashing the glass. It rewards his team with another possession.
Yeah, Spears is on 6 rebounds, 5 of them offensive.
And there's our man, and whack, 3 in a row.
He's certainly a streaky shooter. He's got it going on at the moment, 66-62. Scott tries to answer that short.
Well, here's an opportunity now for Townsville to really squeeze it. This last couple of minutes, see if PC can run something else.
There he is coming off the screen. Hands over to Spears for 3 in the same spot, and he hits it.
Well, this is where Brisbane, I think, have to come down and make Townsville play a long defensive possession and get something really good.
Offensive foul called there.
That wasn't really it, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, I reckon that's where Mitch Phillip has to stand at the BOQ logo and say, this is what we're going to run, fellas, just slow down and get a good look. They ran into it quickly, offensive foul call on the screen, and that's a costly turnover down 7.
Well, and again, the momentum's all Townsville now, 4 threes in a row, and then the offensive. All the momentum's heading their way to close out the third quarter.
Yeah, we'll keep it here, fellas. 69-62, a minute 30 to go in the third. Townsville seem to be struggling a bit there. They've turned it back on. They can play at that fast pace, but we haven't seen much of Justin Baker, really. He was the feature of the offense in the first half. Second half has been a little more quiet. They're doing it from beyond the arc at the moment, though, and Peter Crawford's leading the way.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the stats there, Johnny.
The stats?
It's thinking. It's good. We're back.
All right.
We're back. Yeah, so PC's got 14 now. Hitting a few 3 balls certainly has helped him. And, you know, I think it's just really simple basketball is what's got Townsville back in the game. Good ball movement, fatiguing the Spartan defense, and then putting the ball in PC's hands.
I think the YouTube audience is loving the singlet Thunder.
Hey, let me address that. First of all, it's a Still Our Rise Foundation singlet, so let's just support the cause, my man.
That's right.
Secondly, I do have a sweater here, but it's a little bit cold. And thirdly, man, if a dude's going to get in the gym, show those guns off, baby. Don't hate.
Pass gets knocked out of bounds. Betts.
I hope you noticed my Metaswealth Management cap while I'm wearing that as well. Anyone see that? No? Okay.
No, they're distracted by the they're distracted by the guns, Dan. The guns are taking up most of the screen, I think, actually.
Well, that is, without a doubt, not the case. But anyway, appreciate the recognition, whoever that was.
Crawford has it now. And again, battling inside. Volkman's going to get called for the foul. Looks like that might be the 5th team foul on Brisbane. It's going to send Baker to the line for a couple shots. And that's a shout out to Jordan Gerrans on Twitter, picking up your singlet commentary.
I like his hashtag. Hashtag.
What was it?
Hashtag. Come on, man.
That's a shout out to Vandy and Rod's podcast, The Long and Short.
Oh. they have a come on man, do they? I might feature. Is that a chance?
You're a media tard already, Dan. Now you might get on the podcast as well if you're lucky.
You know, I was actually going to go to the gym on the way here, and I actually do have some nice clothes in my bag. I was going to shower and get here dressed professionally, then I knew I'd be late, so I thought, get here 5 minutes late like usual, or get here on time.
Well, you know I run a tight ship. I don't accept anyone turning up late.
Well, that's why I decided to come here and get here early. So obviously need to be much more planned and efficient.
Well, it's good to hear. Good to get Jordan on listening in and watching live up in the Ville.
I think Jordan's actually up in Cairns, but he's a big QBL fan. So thanks for tuning in, Jordan. Will McDowell-White throws one up. It's off. Volkman's tip can't go either. Now Wiltshire has it for Townsville. They're up 8. 45 seconds to go in the third quarter. McCulley goes to Tudhope. Back out to McCulley. Spears going to fire the wing three. That's good. That's what Josh Spears does. He shoots the rock.
Yeah, sweet looking Jimmy.
It's an 11-point lead now for Townsville.
Well, they got all the tools this year to be a legit contender, Townsville, which is...
Betts gets called for the foul.
I think it's hooking actually on Will.
Yeah, I think it was.
Which is, I think, a fair call.
They got Will McDowell-White for the offensive foul on the hook. Spears showing his talents, getting the wipe out.
Earning his keep.
Hey, Spears went over to the States to play some college ball. He's playing over at Loyola Marymount for Mike Dunlap. Pretty famous basketball mind here in Australia.
Absolutely.
Now he's transferred schools. Studied in California though, Spears. Townsville gonna hold for the final shot with Wiltshire running the show. Double team came, Spears skipped it to Crawford. Now Betts, corner three is off. Crawford gets it back, but the clock expires, and heading into the fourth quarter, fellas, it's an 11-point lead for Townsville, 73-62. Spartans got really close, they took the lead. Townsville reset, and now is out to an 11-point lead.
Yeah, it wasn't there anything crazy they did either. It was just simple, the lack of scrambling from Spartans out of that zone to find the guys and find the shooters. So just simple, that defensive execution, communication is what hurt them.
Yep, so it's the quarter time break. We'll take a quick one. We'll come back with some statistics and the fourth quarter of action here in your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. Yeah, all the time. Yeah. Back here at Roland Cowan Stadium, 73-62 the lead. 10 minutes left to go. Can the Spartans find another spark to get themselves back in it? They took the lead momentarily, but Townsville responded. They're now up 11. Guys, it was a great third quarter. Spartans, though, need a lot of help to get the win here today.
Well, Townsville got hot from deep too. Saw PC lead the way, and a couple of others chimed in too, and those three balls obviously helped extend the lead out. So the Spartans have some adjustments to make.
And that's not a good start. That's not what you want there. A turnover from Philp. Crawford just read that pass coming from a mile away. Wiltshire goes inside. Anderson finishes. Just a great seal and a nice pass from Wiltshire. Philp looking for the screen from Volkman. Finds Volkman rolling now. Good defense there from Spears. Volkman in a bit of trouble, kicks it out. Philp with 3 on the shot clock, kicks it to Scott. They're going to get Ben Volkman for the 3-second violation.
I don't know where. Volkman, show me the drop step, left hook. That's what you had on him. Came back the wrong way. That's all right.
13 points to lead now for Townsville. 75-62. Spears was looking for Anderson. Just a bit behind him. McDowell White steps into the 3. It's off. Anderson with a nice rebound. Baker can hit that one. That time it was short. Will McDowell White comes down with the rebound. Picks up a head of steam. Crosses over, a lot of contact. He finishes through it all.
I thought it was well defended.
Well defended,
Yeah.
I agree. There was definitely contact, but really good finish from Will too. And on the possession, he's D'ing up hard too, which I like. That's crazy, man. You can't do anything more than what he did.
I don't know how that was a foul on Will. He's fronted the defense.
Yeah.
He's got his hand on the ball. There's no arm contact. You're allowed to body, right?
Yeah. It's just a mistake.
They do like that matchup, though, with Anderson and Will McDowell White. Wilcher gets it to Spears in the corner. Spears forces it inside. Baker loses it off his leg. Another turnover from Townsville. Reese going to check in for Spears.
Yeah, good job defensively from the Spartan boys then. Again, I like the grit. I don't mind Will getting a bit angry there. I want to see him put on a show, put the team back, get the boys going here again.
Philp has it now top of the key. Working on Wilcher. Flips it up. Again, get him for the travel.
This is where the Spartans fall away a little bit in terms of, like, Philip had to go and create something, and he made a decent move, but I'm just not sure what their offense is.
Yeah, I was just to say, the reason why they need the stops and I like the energy on defense is because their half court sets are
in transition they look all right.
Yeah.
Half court. I mean, you need a purpose with everything we do, but especially offensively in a basketball game, you got to play with purpose.
Philp gets called for the reach-in foul on Baker. Crawford's going to get set to inbound. Gets it over to Reese. Now Wilcher back to Crawford. Corner 3 is short. It's tipped out by Volkman. Philp comes up with it. Philp can't finish. Anderson gets the rebound. There's a foul call
on Volkman. 3 quick fouls too. They don't, they're not going to get back in the game if they continue to foul.
I agree. I reckon Brisbane could do with Dan Quigley coming back in. He just brought great energy so far today, and maybe it's a bit of a spark that they could go to.
Well,
it would make them small. It's the only problem.
Volkman has 4 personal fouls. Good touch pass from Philp to Volkman. That's a great pass from Philp. Wilcher stops, pops, and hits.
Nice little battle going there, down there under the block with Baker and Scott.
Yeah, things are getting physical between both teams. Tempers are starting to pick up. And then Baker picks up the foul on Philp.
Well, Townsville's got to be careful because, I think when he went out of the game, they looked different. And that's his 4th now. Is he staying in or?
No, I don't think he can.
Tudhope's going to check in. Baker's going to take a seat. Everyone's getting a little bit heated here. Coach Thompson getting in the air of the referees. A few players jawing at each other and the referees. 6:33 to go, 10-point lead.
So what's the update, Johnny, on last night's game? How do they replay that? Or what's the procedure on that?
Well, Dave's referring to the Townsville game that got canceled versus the Brisbane Capitals. Kick ball there on Volkman. As far as I'm aware, they will plan to reschedule it. I think from a planning perspective, I think they would hope that it's not going to affect the final standings anywhere, so they may not have to reschedule it. But I can't see how they can. Capitals are up there with Spartans, with Townsville in the top 4, so it's going to count. They're going to have to play that game somehow, some way.
It might mean Townsville have just bought themselves a triple header at some stage. If they're coming down again, down south, maybe.
Yeah.
I think this is their only trip, to be honest with you.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's going to be tough logistically to schedule it. But
maybe they can wrong.
Take it to the community. Maybe they can meet halfway. Meet in.
Oh, and one.
Nice move, DJ.
Yeah. That was a tough hit there from Daryl McDowell-White. They counted the bucket plus the foul. But it's an interesting one, and that's one of the challenges when you're scheduling the QBL. You have such a large distance to cover.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do much about it. Frustrating, obviously, for everybody, but you'd much rather be on the ground wishing you were flying to Brisbane than be flying to Brisbane wishing you're on the ground.
Yeah.
So, best to play it safe, obviously.
DJ hits the free throw, so the lead's cut to 8 now. We're about 5:54 to go in the game. Reese hands off. Stolen, though, by Daryl McDowell-White. Scott saves it. Then Wilcher gets called for the blocking foul.
Townsville have been surprisingly loose offensively the last 2 minutes, haven't they?
Yeah.
Just struggling. They should really be trying to put Brisbane away here, but just struggling to extend this lead out beyond 8 or 9 points.
For me, they certainly are well drilled and a quality group. They're lacking a bit of poise to get them in that elite category for me, based on other teams we've seen so far this year, Johnny.
Too many turnovers for me. They have 20 on the night.
That'll be a big 3.
It's off the back of the rim, though, and Wilcher comes down with it.
Well, they're hanging in there, down 8, 5 minutes to go. Both teams in the 3 fouls in the quarter.
And we know that both teams can get hot from 3 as well. Wilcher uses the pump fake, throws up the shot. He's fouled from behind by Daryl McDowell-White.
That'll be DJ's 4th too. So the foul trouble will start playing a little bit in this last few minutes. Obviously they need DJ and Townsville needs Baker.
And you gotta like that play though from Wilcher. He had Daryl on his hip,
back,
on his back. He's gonna shoot the ball. He drew the contact. Just that's kind of that leadership poise that you were just referring to, Dave.
Yeah, and I think and DJ was close. He did the first effort. He did stay out of trouble, and then I think Wilcher baited him a little bit with that second move. And
it's frustrating
though. Like foul, yeah.
Wilcher beat him to the spot, obviously, so Daryl's behind him. But I guess the difficult thing is, if I was DJ, I'm saying, well, I was behind him, but like Josh Wilcher jumped and stuck his ass backwards, and he was trying to draw a foul. It's one of those tough ones that there was definitely contact. And it's probably 2 shots. Right call's made, but. Like, what's Daryl meant to do other than just...
Yeah.
Blocked there by Reese. Going to stay with Spartans with 14 seconds to go. Baseline out of bounds.
Well, the challenge is with the spacing of the Spartans group is Benny is not a big jump shooter kind of guy, so he can't bring Reese out a great deal, so Reese just sits under the rim.
Yeah. They're doing the exact same thing down the other end, though, in terms of Benny's not guarding Reese at the top at all.
Yeah.
Reese goes into the block, goes right at Volkman. Left-handed hook shots off, gets his own rebound. And Wilcher wide open for 3. It's too strong.
That's a big miss. Wide open, you would have backed him to knock that down.
Daryl McDowell-White flips it up, can't get it to fall. He's fouled, though. He's going to go to the line for a couple more shots.
Yeah, great take.
It's not settling for the jump shot.
Yeah.
Getting your feet in the paint, using your athleticism to draw some contact. get a good look at the rim.
Well, and that's where Volkman and Scott have got to be in those opportunities to present themselves. So either short corner or weak side or Duncan spot, where as he leaves his feet, maybe he's got a couple of options. I mean, it was a great move, but it was a really tough move too.
It's 80 to 73. It's a 7-point lead for Townsville. We got just about 4 minutes to go in the game. Does Brisbane have another run in them? Wiltshire's pull-up jumper is good. Scott gets around the defense. Winds up back with Philp. His three-pointer is good. 6-point lead now.
That's bonus now, I think.
That's the penalty there. That's the 4th personal foul on Philp.
I don't know why you're doing that.
And the 15th foul on Brisbane. So Wiltshire's going to go to line for a couple shots.
Well, I just got it back to 6.
We were talking about poise earlier too. Josh Wiltshire's just shown a lot of poise the last few minutes. Made a couple of big buckets and got himself to the foul line. Mitch Philp will complain about that call. Maybe he's right, but it certainly looked like a foul. But you got to, in my opinion, be smart enough to not give the referee a chance to call. So even if Wiltshire did bait him into it and it wasn't really as much contact, it looked like it. But why are you in that position to start with? You've made a good shot. Let's go down. Let's get another stop. There's 3 minutes left. There's no need to go and put yourself in that position.
Yeah, and as a senior guy in this group, it's a simple defense. Contain my man, stay in front.
Wiltshire picks Philp's pocket, lays it up and in. Lead back up to 10. Coach Thompson's going to take a timeout. Fellas, we'll take one as well. 3:26 to go in the game. Townsville up 86-76 over the Spartans in your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia.
Music here.
Back with you from Roland Cowan Stadium. 86-76 the lead for Townsville over Spartans. Will McDowell-White drives to the lane. He's fouled. He's going to go to line for 2 shots.
I want to take a photo of the Townsville crew on that one. As you saw 4 or 5 guys going like, huh? Who's that on?
Could have been on all 4 of them, really. Couldn't have.
Well, I like it. I mean, again, make the referees make a call. Be aggressive. His shot isn't falling. Been a bit of a tough night shooting-wise from Will. 7 points, 3 of 13. Done a good job on the boards, and certainly in transition, he's looked really nice with the 8 assists as well.
I don't think Will is designed to be a 30-point a game scorer.
No.
So, like, looking at the box score, him not scoring a lot of points is not that much of a concern at all. I think he's done a really good job in all the other areas that he is good at. Defensively, he's been good, rebounding the ball, getting other people involved in his athletically. If you took him to the streets of New York City, athletically he's good, but nothing super special. But his basketball IQ is off the charts, and he's shown that skill today.
Yeah.
And that's why he's such an elite player. Great hands from Glenn Scott too.
Will McDowell-White has it for Spartans. Looking for the screen from Volkman. Goes in and out. Nice pass to Scott. Three-pointer way off, though. Crawford nearly loses it. It winds up with Wilcher. He's going to fire a three. That rattles home. That's a huge bucket there from Josh Wilcher.
He's been massive the last 4 or 5 minutes, fellas.
Yeah.
Just in scoring the ball, but in every other way, just very impressive finish to the game from a quality player.
Phillips' three-pointer is off. Baker with a nice, strong rebound.
Well, he's almost on song for his season averages.
Why are Brisbane fouling at the other end of the floor like that, though?
It's a 12-point lead for Townsville. Spartans going to take a timeout. Let's keep it here, though, fellas. Coach Thompson going to try and draw things up. You got to go. You got to try and junk it up again. You got to come out trapping, pressing. You pretty much got to try and force a turnover and get some easy buckets here.
Well, you do, but from what I've seen the last 2 minutes, it ain't going to happen, and it is over. Again, as Dan just pointed out, the last two times they've had silly fouls that were just silly, and given up 4 free throws, which they're just not going to get done. Down 12 now with 1:50 on the clock.
Well, they've just sent Josh Wilcher to the foul line, so you would expect them to be down 14 by the time the clock starts running again. And
yeah.
14 points, and even if Townsville don't score again, 14 points in 2 minutes might be a bit out of reach.
Yeah, I mean he's
Brisbane today.
And we talked about at the start of the fourth, him getting a bit more involved, and he listened because he has, and he'll finish with 23 to 25 plus points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists as well. He's done a good job of running the crew in the fourth quarter as well. And just want to check the fourth quarter. Well, they're only +1 in the fourth. Townsville, but they've just done a good job in limiting the Spartans to shoot, 40% for the field, which has hurt a little bit. And the rebounding they've really dominated the boards.
Wilcher's at the free throw line for a couple of shots here. His team is up 12. Hits the first one.
Oh, backcourt.
Philp gets it over. Kicks it out to Will McDowell-White. Touch pass. Scott corner. Three is good. Coach Thompson doesn't want the foul. He's looking for some turnover here. Wilcher hits Reese, nearly loses it. Hands off to Wilcher. Corner three is short. Baker with a huge offensive rebound.
That's a massive board at this stage of the game, fellas. Great defense from Brisbane.
Yeah, they did a really good
really,
job
really
scramble.
great defense, but just couldn't quite finish it with the rebound.
Wilcher, layup is good. That seals the deal, fellas. 93-80. Volkman on the other one with a quick two. Anderson gets to the rack, lays it in. We're under a minute to go now. It's 93-82. Timeout taken on the floor. Let's keep it here, fellas. We want to look at some statistics, Dave. What's jumping out at you? I mean, to me, the biggest thing was the struggle for Spartans in the half court, really. And defensively, they had moments of solid play, but I think they just made it a bit too easy at times for Townsville to get the ball in the basket.
Is that Townsville plus 21 on the rebound count? I can't see it from the video.
Yeah,
is that what it is?
21, yeah, I was going to say that the size has certainly helped them, but realistically, Baker's obviously a tough match, and I think Will White's done a really good job battling him most of the night. Certainly the second half, it looks like he's had him. I think he's done a really good job on him to limit him. But a lot of it is just effort, and I think that last scramble, the last set from the Spartans has been nice, but just a little bit too late.
It's just a consistent level. We keep saying it. Townsville, what were your thoughts? This is the first time we're seeing Townsville live in person. We've seen some of the other top teams like the Capitals and Mackay and Logan and some of these other top teams. Where do you see Townsville on that ladder, I guess, Dan?
It's tough to say against this particular Brisbane team today, who are a bit underdone and kind of junking it up. It hasn't been your typical basketball game you would have expected to watch when everyone's at full strength. At least that's my view, is the style of game we've seen. And so maybe it's a bit of playing down a level, but Townsville have been good, but not impressive enough to say they're going to bother the Capitals or the Mackays of the world. But then again, playoff basketball is all about matchups. How do you match up individually? Go get it, Will. Terrible pass. How do you match up with those teams? So it doesn't really matter the style. On one given night, playoff basketball is a matchup game, really.
Yeah.
And they've got the tools to match up with anybody, so they're definitely going to be a threat. But today hasn't been the polished performance that I might have expected.
And they had that huge win last week versus Cairns. It was an 86-72 win over Cairns, the reigning champions. They're going to get the win here. Only got the one game in this weekend, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. We'll try and have a chat to Basketball Queensland and see what the plans are to reschedule the game, but it's going to be a 95-83 win for Townsville over the Brisbane Spartans. I like the poise of Townsville. They took Brisbane's best shot. Spartans gave it all they had. They got back into the lead at one point. They just didn't seem to have enough left in the tank, really, to get the win. Nonetheless, 95-83. Guys, we've gone through most of the statistics. I'll just go to you each for your final thoughts before we wrap things up.
Yeah, it's always nice to see the northern guys come down and get a bit of a different flavour of them. Obviously, us being based here in southeast Queensland. So it was a good win from Coach Anderson and the boys. Equally, the 21 turnovers, they got some stuff to do to work out before the playoffs commence. But, you know, they're right there as one of the top 5 teams for sure, and certainly title contenders.
And Dan?
Well, I think you celebrate the wins, whether they're great wins, ugly wins, scrappy wins, so they should go back and celebrate. It's always hard to fly the distance they've flown to come and get a W, and like Dave said, they've got a lot of things they know they can improve on, but, I mean, Coach Anderson and those guys have been around long enough to know that they're going to go away and they'll come back a lot better, and by the time we come to the playoffs, they'll be right there. They've got all the tools, like we said, to be as competitive as anyone in the league, so it'd be good to see where they go over the next month or so. From Brisbane's point of view, I think they've got a challenge on their hands, and if they do compete in the playoffs, I'm not sure they're going to go very deep in it, simply because they play a really unusual scrappy style, and I just think they need a lot more structure in their game and not rely so much on the one-out individual stuff, which is where they seem to get most of their offense from.
Yeah, well, Spartans really needed this win today to stay in that finals contention. They were about a game or so out of it, so the loss definitely doesn't help.
Yeah, and I think they were better today. I mean, better than a fortnight ago, that's for sure. And I think their energy and effort was certainly an improvement as well. We talked about that in the opening pre-game, that they needed to lift their effort and energy. And the execution, you know, lacked a little bit, as you'd expect. But again, I really thought they did it. They had a good crack, and especially Quigley was good for them today. Gave them great minutes. You know, Philpin Patches, I thought, was good. Again, some of the shot selection was a little questionable at times. But I also understand that they're lacking some points, so he's trying to lead and taken by the rain. So, yeah, plenty of opportunities for the Spartans to continue improving.
And guys, we only have 4 more weeks left in the regular season, so the playoff positioning is certainly firming up. It's a great win there for the Townsville Heat to come down to Brisbane and get the win. The final score was 95-83. That's going to wrap it up for us here. I have to thank Mark Beals on the production panel, Jacob Beals on the camera work, my co-commentators Dan George and Dave Duran, and also a special shout out to James Bowman of Australian Sports Network for all of the amazing graphics work. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to the women and the men. I will apologize one more time for the audio issues we had in the women's game, but please tune in next week. It's next Saturday, the 15th of July. It's Ipswich at the Southwest Metro Pirates. Women tip at 5:30, men tip at 7:30 on your QBL Game of the Week, presented to you by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. See you guys again next week. Thanks for tuning in.